దూర విద్యా విధానంలో డాక్టర్ బిఆర్ అంబేద్కర్ ఓపెన్ యూనివర్సిటీ దేశంలోనే మొట్టమొదటి సార్వత్రిక విశ్వవిద్యాలయం. దాదాపు 2.5 దశాబ్దాలుగా దూర విద్యా విధానం ద్వారా కంప్యూటర్ కోర్సును అనుసంధానం చేస్తూ బీఏ, బీకామ్, బీఎస్సీ డిగ్రీ కోర్సులను అందిస్తోంది. పోస్ట్ గ్రాడ్యుయేషన్ స్థాయి, డిగ్రీ, డిప్లొమా స్థాయి కోర్సులను ఔత్సాహికులైన విద్యార్థులకు అందిస్తోంది. డెవలప్మెంట్ స్టడీస్లో సెంటర్ ఫర్ ఎకనామిక్స్ అండ్ సోషల్ స్టడీస్ ద్వారా ఎంఫిల్, పీహెచ్డీతో పాటు విశ్వవిద్యాలయమే స్వయంగా దూర విద్యా విధాన అంశంపైన పీహెచ్డీ వంటి పరిశోధన కోర్సులు ప్రవేశపెట్టింది. సుమారు 4.5 లక్షల మంది విద్యార్థులు ఈ విశ్వవిద్యాలయం నుంచి ఉన్నత విద్యావకాశాలు పొందుతున్నారు. డాక్టర్ బిఆర్ అంబేద్కర్ సార్వత్రిక విశ్వవిద్యాలయం స్థానికంగా స్వయం బోధనా పద్ధతిలో ముద్రణ రూపంలో రూపొందించిన కోర్స్ మెటీరియల్ అందిస్తోంది. కోర్స్ మెటీరియల్ అధ్యయనానికి సహకరించే విధంగా రేడియో, టెలివిజన్ పాఠ్యాంశాల ఆధారంగా కార్యక్రమాలు ప్రసారం చేస్తోంది. అధ్యయన కేంద్రాల ద్వారా ఏర్పాటు చేసే సలహా సంసర్గ తరగతులు, సైన్స్ ప్రాక్టికల్ సౌకర్యాలు విద్యార్థులకు స్వయం అధ్యయనానికి ఒక చక్కటి అవకాశం. ఇవి విద్యార్థి సమీపంలో ఉండే అధ్యయన కేంద్రం నుంచే పొందొచ్చు.
Namaste. Welcome to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University teleconference. Today we are going to discuss about memory devices and microprocessors. As you all know, this teleconference is for 1 hour duration, and the first 45 minutes the experts who are sitting in the studio will be discussing about the subject matter, and the last 15 minutes is open for discussion. If you have any doubts or any clarifications, you can directly interact with the experts with us today. And this course is designed for MSc second year physics students of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. Now I will introduce the experts to you. She is Mrs. V. Rama, Assistant Professor, Department of Electronics in National Institute of Technology, Warangal. And Dr. C. Krishna Garu, Associate Professor, Department of Physics, Bhavans New Science College, Hyderabad. So please note down the telephone numbers which you have to call: 040 2703 1431, 040 2703 1432, 040 2703 1433. See, in today's world, I think all the students, those who are studying MSc Physics or MSc Electronics or MSc Computers, are familiar with the word microprocessor. But how many have you know what is microprocessor, how it is going to work, and what are the internal organization of the microprocessor, what is the architecture of the microprocessor, and what are the memory devices which are inbuilt of the microprocessor. All these things many have you don't know. So in order to explain all these concepts, now this teleconference is designed for all the students. In your previous years, I know that you have come across the digital electronics. In digital electronics, you learned about the number system, logic gates, memory devices like flip-flops, registers, counters, sequential logic circuits, combination logic circuits, and so on. But before knowing about the memory devices and microprocessor, I feel it is to give you a brief introduction about the flip flops, registers and counters. Rama madam, so before discussing these memory devices, what are the devices which are using for the microprocessors? So, I will ask you to explain about the flip flops, registers and counters, then we will go deep into the memory devices.
Okay, Dr. Pushpa, thank you. So, let us know the importance of these flip flops, registers, counters. So, if you understand basically the operation of these sequential circuits, you can able to understand clearly about the operation of microprocessor. That is what we would like to introduce these flip flops, registers and counters. Actually, we have different types of logic circuits, combinational circuits and sequential circuits. Under these combinational circuits, we have logic gates, flip flop, half adder, full adder, comparator, multiplexers are there. So, actually what is meant by a combinational circuit? In the case of combinational circuit, the output of a logic circuit depends on present state of the input. So, this is a combinational circuit. So, for example, you take half adder. Half adder is a logic circuit having two inputs and two outputs. The output depends on the present state of inputs. It adds 2 bits at a time. Similarly, full adder, comparator and multiplexer. Multiplexer is it is a data selector. Comparator compares the two input bits. So, combinational circuit is a logic circuit. It depends on the its output depends on the present state of the inputs. Similarly, if you go for sequential circuits, the output of the sequential circuit depends on the present state of the inputs and the past outputs also. So, under the sequential circuits category, we have flip flops, registers and counters. What is meant by a flip flop actually? Flip flop is a memory element. It can be used to store a single bit of information, either 0 or 1. So, where we use this 0 and 1? Actually, in a digital computer, we use binary number system. So, single digit 0 is represented as a binary digit, no? So, it is represented as a bit. To store a single character, we use a 8-bit data, that means 1 byte. So, to store a single bit of information, we need a flip flop. To store 8-bit, we need 8 flip flops. So, flip flop is a memory element. It can be used to store a single bit of information depending on its inputs. Similarly, it has actually there are different types of flip flops. Flip flop is having 1 or 2 inputs and it has 2 outputs. The outputs are complement to each other. There are different types. You can observe this: RS latch, clocked RS flip flop, D flip flop, T flip flop, JK flip flop, RS the master slave JK flip flop. In the case of RS flip flop, RS latch, both are same, but here the enable signal is not given. If we give enable signal, it is also like a flip flop. This RS latch is made up of 2 NOR gates. So, it is having 2 inputs. We can say these inputs as reset input and set inputs, and the outputs are Q and Q bar. These outputs are complement to each other. The output of this first NOR gate is connected to the second one of the inputs of the second NOR gate. So, the main function of this flip flop is how it is storing a single bit of information. Whenever R is equal to 0, S is equal to 0, just it holds the previous information. That means, to understand the basic operation of any flip flop, we have to assume the previous condition of this flip flop. So, assume the previous condition is, suppose let us assume Q is equal to 0 and Q bar is equal to 1, and when you assume this R is equal to 0, S is equal to 0. So, immediately we can get the no change and we can have the hold state. Suppose when S is equal to 1, R is equal to 0, and whatever may be the previous assumption, the flip flop sets and stores logic bit as 1. And if S is equal to 0, R is equal to 1, the flip flop resets and stores 0 bit. So, that means depending on the previous status of the flip flop, it can, so you can understand the basic operation from this truth table. So, whenever S is equal to 1, it sets and it stores 1 bit, whenever R is equal to 1, S is equal to 0, it resets, and when both inputs are 1 1, actually that last state is it actually correct status? It is unpredictable status, it is a prohibited state in the flip flop. So, 0 0 may not arise here, this is considered as race condition, either flip flop should store 0 bit or 1 bit. So, it is trying to store 0 0 here. So, or it can try to, it is trying to store 1 1. So, this is unpredictable status in the flip flop. So, this is a fundamental unit of actually sequential circuits. So, using these flip flops only we designed big logic memory circuits like registers, and we can design counters. So, this is a clocked RS flip flop. Here what is the importance of this clock signal? Clock signal, by using this clock signal we can trigger, we can activate the flip flop. So, whenever we activate the flip flop, immediately the operation starts. In the case of D flip flop, it is having only one single input, and we give clock signal to trigger the flip flop, and here we are using this SR flip flop. Just by introducing inverter here, we can have a D single input D flip flop. The main function of this D flip flop is whenever D input is equal to 0, when clock signal is given, immediately the 0 will be stored in this flip flop. When D is equal to 1, the flip flop stores 1. Depending on the, whenever if you do not give clock signal, then it does not work. That means, it holds the previous state only. Suppose if you give clock signal, when D input is equal to 0, it just copies the same. So, that is why we can call this D flip flop as data flip flop. In some circuit it produces a delay also. So, we can call most of the time this as a data flip flop. We use these D flip flops in registers. By cascading group of D flip flops, we can get register. So, in buffer registers we prefer to use these D flip flops, or any register is made by only D flip flops. So, when clock is not given, you can see, you can observe the truth table, D is equal to 0. So, whatever may be D, actually no change occur, that is it holds the previous condition. Suppose previous condition is Q, means the same we can have. When clock is made high, when D input is equal to 0, then only it transfer the same in that flip flop, and when clock is made high, when D input is equal to 1, then automatically Q is also 1. In the case of JK flip flop, so it is also having 2 inputs and 1 clock signal. Most of the time this JK flip flop is preferably used in counter circuits. If you observe the truth table of this JK flip flop, when both the 2 inputs are 0 0, we will get no change condition, or we can call that condition as hold state. When J is equal to 0, K is equal to 1, the flip flop resets and stores 0 bit. When J is equal to 1, K is equal to 0, flip flop set and it stores 1 bit. When both inputs are 1 1, we can have toggle condition here. That means, the output of the previous condition can be toggled. That means, if the previous output is 1, we will get here 0. If the previous output stored by the flip flop is 0, we will get it as 1. So, like that, this is a complement of the previous output. This condition is considered as toggle condition. This is very important condition in JK flip flops. Using this toggle condition, we are designing counter circuits actually. This toggle condition is very important condition in JK flip flops.
So, Rama, here I have a small doubt. Krishna garu, Rama madam has explained about the flip flops. They are nothing but the memory elements. But generally, when we talk about the microprocessors and all those things, immediately when we buy some computer or anything, no, we will ask what is the memory, what is the value of the RAM or RAM. All those things generally we used to hear from many of them mouths. My question here is, how do you distinguish between these flip flop like memory elements from the memory devices? Because as we all know that there are primary memories and secondary memories, there are semiconductor memories like RAM, ROM, EEPROM, all those things. So, can you throw some light on those primary memories now?
Okay, thank you, madam. Memory is one of the electronic device which is used to store the data. Data means it is madam already has given, it is a bit or the byte or any programs or the result. So, normally in the market there are several types of memories are available: electronic memories, optical memories, magnetic memories, various types of memories are available. So, here I want to give you some brief idea about what is the prime memory. So, prime memory means every computer has its own memory. So, that memory is based on how many address bits allocated to the system. So, for example, 8085 microprocessor is concerned, there are 16 bits reserved for the address lines, address bits. So, that means, so it can able to store 2 to the power of 16 locations. So, in each location 1 byte of data will be stored. So, therefore, total 2 to the power of 16 bytes will be stored in the memory. So, normally 2 to the power of 10 in general it is treated as a it is 1 kilo in the computer language. So, 1 kilo, then so 2 to the power of 16 can be divided into 2 to the power of 10 into 2 to the power of 6. So, total 64 kilobytes of data it can able to store. So, for example, we can increase the, we can add 1 bit as address, it will double the storage capacity. So, therefore, for example, if it is 80886 is concerned, so it has 20 address bits. So, therefore, it which can able to store 2 to the power of 20. So, that is 2 to the power of 10 into 2 to the power of 10, 1 megabyte of data which can able to store. So, similarly, 2 to 1 gigabyte of data, that means to 30 address lines. Suppose we can allocate 30 address bits. So, which can able to store 2 to the power of 30, that is equal to 1 gigabyte. So, nowadays we have the memory devices available with more and more capacity, that is 4 GB, that means it has 32. So, 32 means 2 to the power of 30 into 2 to the power of 2. So, that is a 4 GB capacity. Similarly, so if it is smaller systems are concerned, suppose we want to take the basic computers, it has in the earlier olden days, that is when the time of manufacturing the computer, there are only few bits allocated for the address. So, for example, 4 bits, if it is 4 means 2 to the power of 4. So, that means total address locations are only 16, we can able to store only 16 bytes of information. So, that means 16 address locations. In these locations, how can we place the data? So, the data means in each location we will place one code, that is in the byte format. So, some bytes are required to control the ports. So, therefore, that they are permanently written in the memory. So, that memory is called as a read only memory. So, that read only memory we can able to read the data format, we cannot write anything in that particular memory location. For example, if there are 16 memory locations, 8 locations are reserved for only the RAM, only the remaining locations are we can able to, the programmer can able to access. So, like this, if it is 8085 microprocessor is concerned, so it has a total.
I will just interrupt a single second, Krishna Garu. Rama madam, see, we are going almost, Dr. Krishna Garu is telling about the memories, primary memories, secondary memories, all those things which are concerned with the microprocessor. So, I think before going deep into the memory organization, memory, all those things, it is better to have a very simple definition of what is a microprocessor first of all. So, first we will define what is a microprocessor, then we will go to the memories inside, then after that we will go for the architecture of the microprocessor. Can you define a very simple way about the what is microprocessor?
Dr. Pushpa, in a actually digital computer block diagram, if you observe, we have input devices, output devices and CPU. The central processing unit of the computer is acting like a microprocessor. It is actually a brain of the computer. So, in that central processing unit, we will have arithmetic logic unit and control unit. Actually, in digital computer, the input device is used to feed the data to the computer, and memory is a storage device. It stores programs, data and results. The output device displays the results and it can print the programs. This CPU built on a single IC is called microprocessor actually. The CPU can be built on a single IC.
That is central processing unit.
This is nothing but a microprocessor. And this microprocessor can be programmed to perform functions on given data by writing specific instructions into the memory. The microprocessor reads one instruction at a time, matches it with its instruction set and performs the data manipulation specified. The result is either stored back into its memory or displayed on an output device. So, if you observe the evolution of microprocessor, Pushpa, actually earlier in 1971, Intel Corporation USA, they have introduced this 4-bit microprocessor. It was introduced by Intel company. It is a 4-bit microprocessor. It is having how many transistors, you know, 2300 transistors. After 30 years of duration, in 2001 Pentium 4 processor, it is having 42 million transistors. In the small chip, using some VLSI technology, using CMOS technology, they are manufacturing these ICs. That means, if you see this particular evolution, 1972, Intel introduced 8-bit microprocessor. It is, they have used PMOSFETs in the design of this. We consider that as 8080 microprocessor. It is a 8-bit microprocessor. In 1973, they have enhanced that version using NMOSFETs. And this, the microprocessor using NMOS process technology are faster and compatible with the transistor logic. The drawback of this 8080 processor is we have to use 3 DC power supplies. In 1975, and actually 8085 was introduced by Intel company. It is a 8-bit processor, but using only one single power supply we can operate that microprocessor. So, what I want to tell here, earlier we have used vacuum tube devices,
which is
to design a big, that has been a room size
computer.
Now we have
palm size
computers
and everything.
So, because of
technology, revolution in the technology.
Because of revolution in electronics, it is possible.
Yeah, okay, Rama, you have tell about the very basic and fundamental definition of a microprocessor and evolution of the microprocessor. Krishna Garu, can you just elaborate a little bit about the microprocessor and also what are the internal designing of the microprocessor?
Okay, madam, thank you.
You can explain this, sir.
Okay, so 8085 is an 8-bit microprocessor. Broadly, its architecture can be classified into 3 groups. One is ALU, second one is timing and control unit, and third one is a set of registers. So, broadly there are one main register available in the 8085 microprocessor, that is accumulator. It is closely associated with the arithmetic and logical unit. So, here this is the block diagram of the 8085 microprocessor. So, broadly it can be dividing into 3 groups. So, one is the timing and control unit, and a set of registers, accumulator, temporary registers, flip flops, and I want to give you some basic idea what are the flip flops available in the 8085 microprocessor. So, there are 5 flip flops reserved for the setting the flag status. So, they are, one is sign flag, carry flag, auxiliary carry, 0 flag, so and parity. So, there are 5 flags, and there are 6 general purpose registers. They are B, C, D, E and HL. So, normally the size of each and every register is 8 bits capacity, that means, so which can store 8 bits of data at a time. So, sometimes there is a need to store 16 bits of data. So, therefore, to store 16 bits of data, there is a possibility to group these 6 general purpose registers, but the grouping is only 3 pairing is possible. One is we can group the B register with C, so BC is one pair, D with E, that is the DE pair, and HL pair. So, there are 3 pairs, and on par with these BC, DE, HL, there are some registers. So, one is the program counter register. So, the program counter register is, it is nothing but it plays the pointing the address of the program. So, there are, I already told, there are 2 to the power of 16 address locations starting from 00000 to FFFF. So, out of that is 64 kilobytes of data. So, in which memory location we are writing the program. So, therefore, the program address it will points. So, similarly, there is another register called as a stack pointer register. Stack pointer register also it is the memory location. So, this is also used to store the data temporarily. So, similarly, some of the registers, that is the accumulator and flag register is called as a program status word. So, program status word, program counter, stack pointer, these are the 16 bit registers in 8085 microprocessor, and 6 general purpose registers. Now, the timing and control unit, that means this is very important, because for this there is a one crystal oscillator connected with the processor. That crystal oscillator is oscillating with 6 megahertz frequency. So, the half of its frequency, that is 3 megahertz frequency, is taken as a time that is the clock frequency. So, therefore, that frequency will decide how speed the instructions will execute. So, that means it is a clock frequency is in megahertz. So, therefore, the instructions will be executed within microseconds of time. So, therefore, it is called as a microprocessor. That means, it will process the data from one register to the other register, or it from one register to the memory location, or memory location to the memory location, or memory location to outside world. so which can process the information within microseconds of time. So, therefore, it is called as a microprocessor. So, here now this is one of the circuit diagram for the microprocessor trainer kit. So, here there are two fields. So, one is address field. So, next one is the data field. In the address, this gives you in which memory location we are writing the program. So, there are 4 digits, that means 4 bit can be represented with one hexadecimal digit which starts from 0 to 0. So, all bits are 0, that is 0, all bits are high, that is F. So, therefore, totally if all 16 bits are 0, that is a first address location 0 0 0 0, all bits are high, that is F F F F, that is the last address location. So, in these locations, and for the easy purpose, the higher 2 digits are taken as a higher byte of the address and the lower 2 digits are taken as the lower byte of the address. So, normally the higher 2 digits are treated as like one page. So, in each page the lower digits are 0 0 to FF, that is total 256 lines. So, each page there are 256 lines. So, therefore, there are 256 pages and in each page there are 256 lines. So, therefore, 256 into 256. So, that is the total memory and total 64 kilobytes of data. Now, so the important thing is to learn any microprocessor or any controller, we must familiar with the what are the registers available in that particular microprocessor. As far as 8085 microprocessor is concerned, I already told you there are one important register is accumulator, that plays a very important role, because every operation, either it may be the arithmetic operation or the logical operation or any operation, the result will be stored in the accumulator. So, before that I want to give you about the memory also, that is a prime memory, because in the I stopped in the middle of the classification. So, in the prime memory, that is based on your number of address bits, either it may be 16 bits or 32 bits, that is the size. So, we can able to store. So, that means how can we place the data in the memory? Based on that, we can divide the memories into two types. One is the volatile memory, another one is the non-volatile memory. The volatile memory is, it stores the information temporarily. Whenever you switch off the system, automatically the data will lost the data. So, whereas the non-volatile memory, so the program codes written in this memory, they are stored permanently. So, there is no need, no chance to remove that data, that is called as a read only memory. Now, nowadays there are some of the other techniques are available to remove to erase the data in the read only memory location also. So, that is the EPROM. So, that is erasable programmable ROM. So, because the PROM is we will place the code through a software program. So, that is why it is called as a programmable read only memory and erasable programmable read only memory. So, the next memory is EPROM, that is electronically erasable programmable read only memory. Similarly, nowadays the fast higher speed memories are available, they are flash memories. So, similarly, the RAM is concerned, that is the volatile memory. So, it is also called as read and write memory. So, normally it is a random access memory. So, where we have to write the programs, all our assembly language programs, whatever the microprocessor it may be. So, we can write the programs through in this memory only. And now, so this memory can be divided into two parts, that is the static RAM and the dynamic RAM. Static means what are the storage devices used to store the data. So, either it may be the flip flops or the capacitors. So, normally in static RAM, flip flop is the storage element. Already madam has given some idea about the flip flop. So, the flip flop is the basic storage element which can able to store 1 bit of data. So, therefore, normally the computer language will store the byte, that means 8 bits at a time. So, therefore, the bytes, so that is a group of flip flops. So, therefore, in static RAM it is, so it will stay for some time. So, whereas in the dynamic RAM, so it is easy, but whenever you switch off immediately the data will be will last the data. So, similarly, that is again classified into SDRAM and DDRAM, that is double data rate RAM. Now, so all these memories RAM or ROM, all is the primary memory which is available internally available in the any processor or any computer. Whereas, because we are doing several operations with the microprocessor, to keep the entire information in the system, it is not safe. So, therefore, so we have to keep it in the safe place. So, therefore, we need some alternate memories. So, therefore, many of the companies have designed the secondary memory storage devices. So, nowadays there are various types of memories are available. So, in the secondary memory, hard disk drive, floppy disk, compact disk, digital versatile disk, similarly flash drive. So, I have shown some of the memory devices. One is our pen drive, and similarly the USB, that is the universal serial bus. It is used to store it is that is video data, that is very fast memory. So, similarly there is one of the, that is a RAM. Some many companies have manufactured the memory cards. So, here this is one of the memory. So, it is appearing with a small, very small size that can able to store 32 gigabytes of data. So, this is these are the secondary memory devices. They are used to store the data, only data. We cannot do any operation with that. So, in the primary memory we can change, we can transfer from any place to any place. So, that is within microseconds, or within nowadays within in nanoseconds also. Now, coming to this, what about the cache memory? So, the cache memory is also one of the important memory, because in the that I want to give you with one example in the communication. Suppose in the communication we are communicating our voice signals for very far distance from here to America also. So, that means suppose normally without this is linked up without any other device, that means we cannot transmit our voice, maybe which can transmit up to some meters, maybe 10 meters or 20 meters, it will scatter, it will disappear. Whereas, we are mixing the signal with the carrier signal, we can able to transmit this information for the longer and longer distances. Similarly, here the central processing unit is processing the information with very high speeds. So, within microseconds of time. So, normally the data transformation in the memories, it is very small. So, that means the speeds are lower compared with the central processing unit speeds. So, therefore, to match this, suppose if there is no middle device to transmit directly from memory to the central processing unit, the processor should wait for some time to receive the data. Whenever you transmit the data, to store the data also it has to wait. So, therefore, so there is a memory which is working with the speed of the microprocessor, central processing unit. So, therefore, it is directly connected with the central processing. This is a memory, its speed is equal to the speed of the central processing unit. So, therefore, the information which is stored in the memory is connected to the additional memory, that is called as a cache memory, then it is easier to, that means the speed matching will be possible. So, therefore, these are the broadly primary memory, secondary memory and cache memory. So, this is about the detailed information about the memory. Now, coming to the registers, already I gave you there are 6 general purpose registers, that is B, C, D, E, H, L.
Sir,
and
sir, a small interruption. We got a phone call. Hello. హలో
హలో
ఎవరమ్మా ఎవరు మాట్లాడుతున్నారు? యా గుడ్ మార్నింగ్
అండి, వరంగల్ నుండి కాల్ చేస్తున్నాము.
మీ పేరు ఏంటమ్మా?
విజయ ఆంటీ.
విజయ గారు చెప్పండి అమ్మా, మీ డౌట్ ఏంటి?
రమా మేడం గారిని డౌట్ అడుగుదామని చేశామండి.
చెప్పండి అమ్మా, ప్రశ్నలు అడగండి.
కెన్ యూ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ రేస్ అరౌండ్ కండిషన్ మేడం?
రేస్ అరౌండ్ కండిషన్, యా ఓకే అమ్మా, థ్యాంక్ యూ. రమా, when you are discussing about the flip flops and digital circuits, all those registers and counters, you have come across the race condition.
Yes.
So they are asking about to explain about the race condition.
Race around problem means in the case of flip flops, when if you take only NOR latch, when both inputs are reset input and set inputs are high, then we cannot find out the output status. That is unpredictable status. We can call
So
that
when,
as
so
race
in
condition.
the flip-flop circuit, when we take the truth table, when you take the conditions of Q and Q bar like
when
P
you
and
take
A,
R and S is equal to 1 1, Q should be 0 suppose, and Q bar should be 1, but we are getting 0 0. That is a unpredictable thing, and we can call that, that means the flip flop is trying to store 1 bit, or it is trying to, so there is ambiguity. So that condition is considered as race
so when
condition.
the two inputs are high, the condition arises.
When two inputs are high, this condition in the case of NOR latch. In the case of NAND latch, when two inputs are zeros, the same condition arises, and we can use master slave JK flip flop to avoid this problem.
Okay, thank you. So you can continue your topics, sir. Architecture of microprocessor.
Okay. So already I have given some idea about the 8085 microprocessor. It is one of the processor which can process the information within microseconds of time. So the processing of 8 bits of data may be within the registers or from register to the memory or memory to the outside world. So broadly there are 3 groups, that is timing and control and various set of registers and ALU. And I want to give you the information. So that is what are the various types of operations available in 8085 microprocessor. Broadly, all the instructions can be divided into 5 groups. So they are data transfer operations, arithmetic operations, logical operations, branch operations, machine control operations. I want to give you some details about each and every group of instructions. So as far as the data transfer operation is concerned, the data, that is the 8-bit data, is transmitted from one register to the other register. There are maybe register to the register or the memory to the register. So therefore in the data transformation, simply it may not affect any flag. Already I told you there are 5 flags. So carry, auxiliary carry, sign, parity and 0 flag. Flags may not be affected with a data transfer operation. Only the data can be transmitted from source to the destination. Here the source content may not be erased, only the destination contents will be erased. For example, in a instruction move A comma B, so that means the data which is there in the register B, that will be transferred to the accumulator. That means whatever the data already exists in the accumulator, that will be erased. So whereas the source, the B is acting as a source of data, that may not be erased. So similarly this move instruction, move in 8085, move followed by, so A comma B or a comma m. So, like this. So, only transformation of the data. Similarly, we have to load the accumulator contents from any of the memory location. Maybe it is the RAM location. Normally, many of the manufacturers, they are providing the RAM from 8000 address onwards, 80000 to FFFF. So, in these memory locations, any data which is stored in that particular memory can be transmitted to the accumulator. So, similarly, there are various types of arithmetic operations to perform the arithmetics like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. So, we have various types of instructions. So, basically there are some instructions mainly for the arithmetic operations, that is add followed by some register. Maybe in the addition, the destination register is always the accumulator. Suppose we are using add b, that means we should know what is the initial value of the accumulator and the value of the b register. So, whenever you are using add b, the b register contents are added to the accumulator contents, but we know already accumulator have some data. The initial data is added with the contents in the b register. Similarly,
A small interruption, sir. We got
okay,
a phone
okay,
call.
okay.
Hello.
Hello.
ఎవరు మాట్లాడుతున్నారండి?
Hello. I am Divya from Warangal.
ఓకే దివ్య, వాట్స్ యువర్ క్వశ్చన్?
Yeah, my question is that I would like to ask Mrs. Rama, what is the difference between latch and flip flop?
ఓకే.
Okay. Actually, to understand the basic operation of flip flop, okay, I have given both are same actually, flip flop or latch, they can store actually single bit of information. In the case of latch, we are not using any enabled signal. In the case of flip flop, we are using clock signal to activate the flip flop. So, both are same actually.
ఓకే సార్, నౌ యూ కెన్ కంటిన్యూ అవర్ డిస్కషన్.
okay. So, under arithmetic operations, the addition is one of the important. The addition means normally it adds the hexadecimal numbers. For example, 05 plus 05, it gives the answer 0a, not 10. So, because it uses the hexadecimal number system. So, for example, we want to converting the hex.
ఒక్క ఫోన్. హలో హలో,
హలో,
ఎవరండి?
మేము ప్రమోద్ మాట్లాడుతున్నాం, హైదరాబాద్ నుంచి.
ఏం పేరండి?
ప్రమోద్.
ప్రమోద్ గారా, చెప్పండి.
మాకు మైక్రో ప్రాసెసర్ మీద ఒక డౌట్ ఉందండి.
అడగండి, ఏం డౌట్ ఉందో అడగండి.
హలో
హలో, వినిపిస్తుందండి. మీకు ఏం డౌట్ ఉందో అడగండి, మీ ప్రశ్న ఏంటి?
మైక్రో ప్రాసెసర్లో ఫస్ట్, సెకండ్, థర్డ్, ఫోర్త్ జనరేషన్స్ ఉన్నాయి కదా, వాటి గురించి చెప్తారా?
ఓకేనండి సార్. ఇప్పుడు మనకు ఎవల్యూషన్ ఆఫ్ మైక్రో ప్రాసెసర్ జనరేషన్స్ తీసుకున్నాం కదా. ఫస్ట్ జనరేషన్ ఆఫ్ మైక్రో ప్రాసెసర్, సెకండ్ జనరేషన్, థర్డ్ జనరేషన్, ఫోర్త్ జనరేషన్ ఉంది కదా. సో యూ ప్లీజ్ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ దోస్ జనరేషన్స్ ఆఫ్ ద మైక్రో ప్రాసెస్.
So, earlier I told you, so how many address bits are there in the microprocessor, that based on that what is its memory capacity. So, there are some number of address lines. In each line we can able to store 1 byte of information at a time. So, therefore, based on how many bytes we have placed in that needs, it's a flip flop is nothing but it is a designed with the transistor. For example, flip flop is a bistable multivibrator. So, bistable multivibrator needs 2 transistor back to back connection. So, we have to how many transistors we required. I have shown one of the slide here. So, in the first generation only the technology below 100 transistors are placed in a single chip. Nowadays, we are using the very large scale integration technology. We can inserting millions of transistors in a single chip. So, that is within a very small size. So, therefore, there are year by year, suppose we are increasing 1 address bit, it will double the memory size. So, 16, 2 to the power 16 1 bit addition, that will double 2 to the power 17, and one addition of one address bit. So, like this, now there is a nanotech, there is a tremendous development in the nanotechnology. Nanomaterials are available. Suppose nanomaterials are using for the memory devices. So, therefore, in future we can able to store some 100 movies in a very small
Single,
space
device.
So,
Small
therefore,
space.
so how many number of transistors used in that chip. So, based on that we have various stages, madam. So, that is
about the generations of
about
the
the generation. So,
microprocessor.
how we have improving the technology.
Okay,
So,
okay.
technology.
So, coming to our original discussion, we are discussing about the architecture of the microprocessor.
Okay.
Please
So,
continue the same.
I told you there are 5 different types of operations. All operations can be divided into 5. So, data transfer and arithmetic. Under arithmetic, the addition is important. There are 3 main instructions for addition. One is add the any register contents, or immediate addition, add the direct data to the accumulator contents. So, similarly, addition with carry. So, that means suppose we want to add a 16 bit data, by using individual registers. First we have to add the lower bytes. So, in the lower byte addition, any carry generated, that carry should be considered in the higher byte addition. So, therefore, we can use ADC instruction. So, that is add the data plus accumulator contents plus carry also.
ADC.
That is ADC instruction, madam. And on par with these instruction, that is add, ADC, ADI, there is one instruction used for addition, that is direct double addition, that is called DAD instruction. So, double addition. So, normally we are adding anything to the accumulator, the result will be stored in the accumulator, whereas in the double addition instruction, the result will be stored in the HL pair. So, the HL pair will play the major role in the double addition instruction. So, that is, for example, DADD, that means the D pair contents will be added to the HL pair contents, and the final result will be in the HL pair. So, similarly, to store the answer also, for example, in the 8 bit addition, we are adding, the result will be stored in the accumulator, that will be stored with STA instruction, STA followed by some address. In that particular address, we will store the answer. Whereas, in the 16 bit addition, the answer will be 16 bit and it is in the HL pair. So, therefore, there is a direct instruction to store the HL pair contents, that is SHL, store HL pair directly, SHLD followed by some address. So, in that that means that in the given address, it will take 2 locations to save the answer. First location, lower byte of this sum, second location, higher byte of this sum. So, similarly, the subtraction also, the subtraction in almost all processors, the processors or computers, they identify the negative numbers by checking one of the condition. Normally, in a given byte of data, there are 2 ways. One is signed number, whether it is a signed number or the unsigned number. If sign is concerned, the MSB bit, generally the MSB bit of the data can be treated as a that indicates the sign. The particular bit is high, then it is a negative number, and if it is low, that is a positive number. If sign is concerned, so that is 00 to 7F are the positive numbers and 80 to FF are the negative numbers. So,
sir, so we are discussing about the architecture of the microprocessor, all those things. Just I would like to know a simple program how to do with the microprocessor, because we don't have much time, only 5 minutes are left, just to make the students understand how to do the simple program in microprocessor. Before that, we have one phone call, sir.
Okay.
Hello. Evarandi?
గౌతమ్ మేడం నా పేరు.
ఎవరు గౌతమ్ గారా? చెప్పండి, ఎక్కడి నుంచి మాట్లాడుతున్నారు?
హైదరాబాద్ నుంచి మేడం.
ఓకే గౌతమ్ గారు, చెప్పండి మీ ప్రశ్న ఏంటి?
అదే మైక్రో ప్రాసెసర్ లో అర్థమెటిక్ గ్రూప్ ఆఫ్ ఇన్స్ట్రక్షన్ లో DAA ఇన్స్ట్రక్షన్ గురించి కొంచెం ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తారా?
ఓకేనండి, థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Okay.
ఇప్పుడు డేటా అరిథమెటిక్ ఇన్స్ట్రక్షన్స్ డిఏ
ఓకే
ఇన్స్ట్రక్షన్
ఇప్పుడే చెప్పానండి డిఏఏ ఇన్స్ట్రక్షన్ ఇట్ ఈస్ మెంట్ ఫర్ ది డబుల్ ఎడిషన్. సో దట్ మీన్స్ వీ వాంట్ టు యాడ్ 16-bit data at a time. So we will take 2 pair of registers. So one pair should be the HL pair, other pair it may be the BC pair or the DE pair. So we have to add because we have 3 pairs of registers BC, DE, HL. Suppose DADH, that means HL pair contents added to HL pair contents, the result also in HL pair. Similarly, suppose DADB, that is BC pair contents will be added to HL pair and the result is in the HL pair. So finally the result will be stored in a safe memory location by using SHLD followed by address. So that is the about the double addition instruction.
Okay sir, we have only 2 minutes are left over.
Okay.
If possible we will go for the programming or otherwise you just throw some light on interfacing.
Okay. So interfacing, okay, I will give you one general aspect of the program. So normally the 8085 programs are called as assembly language programs. We are writing the programs in hexadecimal code formats. So it is appeared in 5 field format. The first field is called as the address field, then the second field is called as opcode field, followed by the label, followed by the mnemonic, and the final field is the comment field. So normally we enter the all instructions, normally the assembly language instructions are called as a mnemonic, which is in opcode and operand format. So generally all instructions may be it is available in opcode format, that is a 1-byte instruction, opcode followed by 1 byte, that is a 2-byte instruction, and opcode followed by 2 operands, that is address. Opcode followed by the address, it is a 3-byte instruction. So based on that how much memory it will take. So here there is a small program, it is a program for the multiplication. For the multiplication there is no direct instruction for the multiplication in 8085 is concerned. Of course in a higher level microprocessor there are direct instruction. This multiplication can be done by repeated addition method. So that means we have to take one data in one register, second data in another register, and the initialize the accumulator contents. So accumulator content initial value is 0. So therefore one of the register value is added to the accumulator and the other register value will be decremented. So for each addition we have to decrement the second register value. So the first one is treated as a counter. So that much time we have to add.
Okay.
So this is the general concept
of
the
program.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you Dr. Krishna garu and Dr. Rama garu. Within a very short period, because the subject is very vast and we cannot discuss so much elaborately, within a given time of period you have explained very well about the memory devices and microprocessors. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.